Another Form Titan video, and in this video we'll talk about how to resubmit partial data into Salesforce without creating duplicates. Now, how does this work and how do you make it happen? I will show you all of it right now. So what I'll do is I'll get a text field first, and I'll add this over here. We'll call this account name, and this one prospect rating. Now for this to work, this will not work with Salesforce Action. It will only work with submit data, and it will also only work if you are storing data with us. So if you're a client who doesn't store data with us, this video is no good to you. So unless you're looking to just learn on how it works. Next up, I'll just get some full name like this, and then I'll get an email field as well. Okay, once I've got that, just going to add some spacing. There you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an account, and then I'm going to create a contact that links to the account. However, what's going to happen is the contact is going to fail. It's not going to work, but the account will get created. All right, so let's do that first, and I'll explain why I'm doing all of this slowly as well so you understand. So let's create a push, and what we'll do is we'll say account, and then we'll say create account, and then I'll go ahead and just say create, and I'll just map the fields. Here I'll say account name goes here, and then prospect rating goes into prospect rating. I'll apply. Next, I'll add a child relationship, and I'll call this contact, creates contact, and then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and set mapping, and I'll say last name, first name, and then email. And then I'll show you all the map fields. So let's get rid of this. Okay, these are all my map fields. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end up removing the last name here completely. Okay, so once I've done that, I'll click apply, and finish. Now what's going to happen is if I go ahead and preview and I create account, I'll just call this partial account, and I'll call this partial contact, and then I'll just call it, I don't know, partial at formtitan.com. Now what's going to happen is that if I click submit, it's going to create an account, but this is going to fail. So let's test this. If I submit, it's going to go ahead and submit my data, and if I go to the integration logs, and if I refresh, you can see that it's created the account, it's created the account, but not created the contact. Okay, but now here's the annoying part. If I go in here, all right, and let's say I add the second name in here correctly, yeah, and then I map it. If I resubmit this, it's going to go ahead and look. If I resubmit this again, it's going to go ahead and create another account, which I don't really want, because what I want at the end of the day is for the contact to be created and linked to the account, but not create the account again. All right, so this is the issue you'll run into, and this is very important to understand, that if you resubmit, it will end up creating the other data as well, which sometimes you don't really need. In this case, you just want to correct the errors and make sure that it's linking together. That's all. So that's an issue. So if I go to my account now, you can see that, you know, I've got two accounts created, but essentially they all have the same name, really. So let's have a look. And look, there are my two accounts. They're both partial accounts. I'll delete the first one because we don't need it anymore. Alright, so how do we get around this? How do we only submit, let's say, only the contact and make sure this is the only thing created and it doesn't end up creating the additional data that we don't need? Well, here's how you do it. First, you get a hidden field. Alright, and I'm going to call this partial data action. Alright, I'll just call it that. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a push, okay, and this is really important because there are a couple of things we need to do here. I'm going to first go in here and say that only run this if partial data action is empty. Alright, that's all you have to do for this one. You don't have to bother setting this rule condition in 1.1 like that, and that's it. Then what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to duplicate this, and then in here I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to say it's not empty. Alright, so that's really important. So you must set the condition here is not empty. So only run the second one is not empty. However, in the action here, instead of create, you'll set this to find. Alright, and you'll set the condition. And the condition is going to be super simple, which is going to be account name equals account name. Alright, so what it will do is it'll end up finding the account, but it won't bother creating it at all. So this is really cool. And then in the second one, I'll just go ahead and make sure that I set the last name to last name. Alright, I'll click apply and finish and click save. So this is all that we've done so far. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my integration log and we'll give it a bit of a refresh. We'll look at this one here, the first one that failed. I'll click into this. Alright, so we'll wait for this to load. What I now want to do is enable my hidden field here, which is called partial. So let me find it. Partial. There you go. It's called partial data action. Alright. So remember what we said. If it's empty, run the first one, but if it's not empty, run the second one. So in here, I'll just type in a value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something like this. We'll leave it. And then, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and complete the push. I'll say push. It's going to go ahead and push. Alright, so when the data's been pushed, you can see that it's created the account and the contact, but the reason why that's happened is because, so if we go back here, it's find the account and it's created the contact. So look, if I go to the account now, it's going to find the account and then it's also going to link my contact to it, which is a contact that failed in the first place. Alright, so this is really, really cool. So instead, look, it's run the find. It's only run the find because the hidden field is not empty anymore. So this time it's just created the account, but for the second one it's done a find instead of a create. So that's how you submit partial data into Salesforce if one or two have failed as well. Really, really easy. And I hope you've taken away from this video. And as I said, it's not straightforward to understand right away in terms of what's happening. So I recommend watching the video and just slow it down and understand step by step what I'm doing. And then that should be able to help you with this issue if you ever come across it. And this is how it's done.